up, fam? Listen, if you've been blessed by In Totality, the podcast, then I want to personally invite you to go deeper by joining our Patreon community called The Village. Every Tuesday morning, the Village members get early access to the full episode of the podcast 2 days before it drops publicly on YouTube. So while everyone else is waiting, you're already soaking it in. But that's just the beginning. As a Village member, you get exclusive access to the In Totality docuseries. It's a behind-the-scenes look at how I walk out my faith in real life. No filters, no fluff, just real moments of me trusting the Lord, processing life, and growing in truth. We also do live book club Zoom calls where we read and grow together in the Word. I'm not just talking at you. We're walking through it together, asking questions, wrestling through scriptures, learning to follow Christ more fully. You know, like that Romans 12. You'll also get bonus content, extra conversations with podcast guests that go even deeper, plus moments that didn't make it to the episode but were just too good not to share. And one more thing, when you join the Village, you get first access to merch before it drops public. So if you love the message and you want to rep the movement, you'll get first dibs every time. But more than the content, the Village is about community. It's a safe place for believers to connect and grow and be reminded that you're not doing this walk alone. You're a part of something real. We're building something special, and we would love for you to be a part. So hit pause, go to www.patreon.com/Megan Ashley and join today, and I'll meet you there. Everybody needs a wild out season, right?
I don't think everybody needs. We have to do something with what Jesus says, right?
We have to take it serious.
We can't water it down.
Yeah. My feelings be fast.
Same. Same.
You know what I'm saying? And I got a mouth.
If God's goal is unity,
Then
right?
we'll see.
Then what you think this joke on? And I just begin to cry. Like, I just weep. And I'm like, check, please, get me out of here immediately. So I leave, and my dad calls. Like, he just picks, like, and I'm like, excuse me?
I'm like, is that conviction? I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of In Totality. I'm your host, Megan Ashley. I'm so excited because I have another guest. I love having guests, y'all. I can sit and talk to people all day, especially about the things of the Lord. Y'all already know. And so today, I'm so excited because this is a newbie to the couch. And she will be back because I'm going to make her come back again and again and again and again because we could talk about her new book for episodes on episodes, I'm sure. But everybody, welcome. Now, Yana, I do not know. Connor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yana Connor. I was like, now let me make sure I remember her last name. Yana's here. Hey, girl.
Hey, friend.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so overjoyed to be here. The
Not as much as me.
hospitality already
thanks.
through the roof. So thank you for
I'm
having
so
me.
excited you're here. So I met Yana, y'all, in New York
Yes.
this year at Priscelli's conference.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like time had stopped. I didn't see anyone around me. I just was locked into this conversation. And I was like, I could literally talk to you all day. I was like, I could literally talk to you all day. And
we only left because we had to.
Literally, we only got up because they were forcing us out of the room. But we sat for that short amount of time that we sat and talked. I was like, oh my gosh, we have like our stories are so similar. And I was like, yeah, this is my new friend. I'm going to talk to her all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
How do you feel?
I feel good. Yeah, it's been a fun day.
Yeah.
I love Atlanta. One, because some of my favorite people are here in Atlanta. So I've gotten some opportunity to spend time with friends who feel like family.
Yay.
And what was funny is I flew in and I was feeling like I was on the verge of a tantrum. Like the stewardess was like, kept coming down the aisle, and I was like, ma'am, if you hit me with your hip one more time, like we gonna have some problems. And then it was just a lot. And I was like, it's me, it's not y'all. But as soon as I got here and got with my friend and her family, like everything just kind of like And so it was just really cool to have people in my life who ground me like that. And I could just be myself, my cranky self.
You need that. You need people you can be cranky with.
Yeah. And they still gonna love you.
And they gonna love you
and ignore you.
Ignore is the key.
Yeah.
Like, it should be fine.
So I'm doing good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, you have a new book and it's called Living Beyond Offense. I am so excited to talk about this book.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because I'm like, usually when I have people on the couch for the first time, I'm like, this is the opportunity for us to get to know you. And I want to get to know you, but I really want to get into this book.
Okay,
so but before we're gonna dignify you and tell us about you.
Yeah.
Tell us who you are. And before, like, how did we get to the point before the book?
Yeah.
Yana's story before the book.
Yeah. So originally from St. Louis, Missouri, I came to faith in college, my sophomore year of college. My stepdad was an elder in our church. So I grew up in church, but I didn't really understand the gospel. Like, I knew that Jesus went to the cross, but I didn't quite put together why that was possible. And so it wasn't until I was at college, wilding out, trying to, doing my thing.
Everybody needs a wild out season, right?
I mean, I don't think everybody needs.
Not need. That ain't the right word.
But it is like, something the Lord can use. It's something that the Lord can use.
I'm like, everybody who's like serious about their faith had a wild out season.
Yeah, I had a wild out season. And I remember like one night coming back from a party and from the after party and doing all the things and just feeling like completely and utterly empty. And I was just like, man, this is not working. Like, me doing life in my own way, on my own terms, it's not working. And so that began a journey of just like the Lord drawing me back to himself. And I remember just coming to this place of just like, I don't know what it means to be a Christian. I don't know how to live for you. I just know that what I'm doing is not working. And so I was like, help me to live for you. And I don't want to do this, start, stop thing where I go down to the altar and snot and then I come back in like 3 weeks. I'm like back doing this.
It's the snot.
Yeah, doing the same thing. And so I would say on that day I repented, but that I didn't fully understand the gospel. That didn't actually come until 2 years later where I'm on a summer project with a ministry called the Impact Movement. And I'm actually a student staff on this project because I had all this leadership ability. And so people thought, like, oh yeah, she a Christian because she can gather students and galvanize them and all that kind of stuff. It's like, nah, didn't understand the gospel. And so it wasn't until I was reading this book called Search for Significance that I heard the gospel for the first time in a way that really helped me to understand that what Jesus did on the cross was enough for me and that there was nothing else that I needed to do but receive his grace by faith. And so came to know the Lord. And then that's when I really feel like my journey with the Lord began and started leading Bible studies on my campus, discipling folks, even though I barely knew anything. Sorry, guys. And so, but was discipling folks. And then I went on staff with that ministry for 7 years. And that's how I ended up in Durham, North Carolina. And then after that, two of my mentors, Sandy Hafiz and Kim Gillespie, they were like, hey, sis, we think it's time for you to go to seminary. And I was like, for real? Because they told me 4 years prior, you're not ready for that. And then it was like, okay, now we think you're ready. And so went to seminary, was a part of a church plant. So still in ministry while I was doing that. And then couple of other jobs. And now I serve as the adult ministry director at a church called Vertical Church. We're a small church right outside of Durham. I love the people at Vertical Church. They are my family. And then sometimes I write and sometimes people invite me to come and do stuff like this or to preach at their churches. And so, so I am living something that I never envisioned for myself. I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted stability, you
have the mannerisms of like, you have good bedside manner.
See,
I could
Lord?
see you. I could see you being like, well, I'm so grateful that the Lord decided to use you in a different way.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see you being like, yeah,
I love people. I want them to be well. And I remember when I didn't get into nursing school, and that was when I really like experienced a call to ministry. And the Lord was just like, you can take care of people's bodies or you can take care of people's souls.
That's so
and
sweet.
The souls are eternal. That is the thing that, that lasts forever. And so that is a more worthy work to give yourself over to.
That's so nice that he said it to you that way.
It is nice.
He don't be that gentle with me. Do what I say. No, It'd be like, do what I say.
I mean, sometimes he does say things with his chest. Yeah, sometimes
yeah, I get the chest guy. No, I'm joking. He's kind to me too.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I think, I definitely could see you as a nurse. That's crazy. But I am glad that the Lord has used you in this way because you just wrote a book called Living Beyond the Fence. If you guys are watching it, it's out right now. Make sure you go to my Amazon storefront to get the book. You guys know I claim to be the Christian Oprah. Everybody's going to get a book.
Everybody's going to get a book.
I am that person. I'm like a book club person. Like I love promoting books. But this book, you talked to me about it briefly when we were in New York. And I was like, oh man, this book sounds like really important because offense, the first time that I kind of dove into offense and like understood what that meant was when I read the book, The Bait of Satan by John Bevere. And that book like radically transformed my life. And this was the thing that got me. I actually didn't see the book first. I was watching, I was on Instagram and one of his reels popped up. And my mom has been saved my entire life. She knew who John Bevere was. I never knew who John Bevere was.
Yeah,
maybe I've heard the name, but like I didn't know who he was. I'm like, who's this white guy popping up on my Instagram? And at this point, I hadn't given the Lord a serious yes yet. And so anyway, the reel pops up and he says, an offended Christian is a Christian who's forgotten what they've been forgiven of.
Yeah.
And I was like, like, oh my gosh, what? And so I got the book, read the book, radically transformed my life. And it's interesting because that book is over 30 years old.
I didn't know that. It's over 30 years old?
Over 30 years old.
Wow. Okay.
My mom said she read that book when I was little.
Wow.
So she's like, so the book is 30 years old. And I say that to say that we're still having to write. The Lord is still needing vessels like you to write book about offense. Why was this the topic? Like, walk us through how you came to that point where it's like, the Lord's like, yeah, I want you to write a book about offense.
Yeah. Yeah. One, I had no plans. I went to the publisher with 5 different ideas. And then we were in a meeting and the conversation turned to forgiveness. And it was like all the little heads in the Zoom squares just started to nod like, yes, this is the book. And at first I was just really excited to have a book deal. And then I was like, wait a minute, how am I going to write this book on forgiveness when there are literally people in my life that I have not forgiven yet, right? There are people in my life where I have broken relationships with. And I told you, like, I had just had a friend, like, just end our relationship pretty abruptly. And so I was just like, yeah, I don't need to write this book. I'm not qualified to write this book. And so I ghosted the publisher for like 2 months. Yeah, who does that? But that's what I did. I ghosted them for 2 months. And then I remember going to a conference and they were having a conversation about church hurt. And in that conversation, I started to notice how people weren't able to live beyond offense. They weren't able to live beyond the offenses that they were experiencing in church. They were getting stuck, so much so that they were leaving the church. And then I started thinking about like the people in my life and the relationships I had. I was like, yeah, like you have a conflict and then you just kind of deuce out, right? And so this whole idea of like living beyond offense, like I felt like personally, and what I was seeing is that people were getting stuck in offense, and then you see it all on social media, right? As well, like we unfollow, or we go angrily to people's comment sections. And I think, in John 17, Jesus prays that the church would be one as him and the Father are one, so that the world might know that God sent Jesus into the world. And it's like, here it is. You see all of this disunity like on social media. And if unity is a thing that like reveals God to the world, then what do you think disunity does? And so I think part of the reason why people are so disillusioned with church is because of how badly we behave, on social media and in public. And so I think in this book, I felt like the Lord was calling me and me inviting other people to come back to the teachings of Jesus. And so even the cover of the book, the first cover they sent me was like really, really trendy and really, really cool. And it wasn't resonating with me. And it was like, yeah, because I want a cover that expresses like that the truths of scripture around forgiveness are timeless and that we need to be called back to them in the same way that Jesus was calling the Jewish people back to the commands when he does the Sermon on the Mount. He's like, you've heard it said that it's okay for you to do this, this, and this, but I say to you this. And he does that over and over and over again. And I think like if Jesus were to enter our context, he would say, you heard it said that it's okay to cancel people, to remove toxic people from your life, you know, and to not forgive and all those kinds of things. But I say to you, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, and to forgive as you have been forgiven. And so I resisted it, but the more I saw just how I was stuck in offense and how other people were stuck in offense, like I just felt more and more called to it.
To do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is such a hard thing, number one.
Yeah.
And it's a thing that we can all say that we've experienced. Like, it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. It is impossible without the Holy Spirit, I believe. I'm like, there's no way you can forgive. But it's also the thing that we can all say that we've experienced, right? Why do you feel like even in Christ, forgiveness is hard? Like, if we know that the gospel is that God sent his son to die on the cross to forgive us of our sins, right? The mission, forgiveness. That's like, if we know that as Christians, why is it still hard for us to forgive?
Yeah. When someone sins against us, it's painful, you know, it's disorienting. And there are some times where people like they sin and it just hurts our feelings. But then there are some things where it like literally changes like our whole life. And so I think part of the reason why it's difficult to forgive is because we're just still in pain.
Yeah.
Right. And so we can't think about forgiveness in that moment because all we can think about is the pain that we've just experienced. And so I know for me, there's grief associated with that. There's lament associated with that. And sometimes we need to give that stuff space to breathe a little bit. But I think the other reason why it's hard for us to forgive is because we long for justice. And that's a good thing. Like, we are created in the image of a God who is just. And so when someone sins against us, we want justice. And that's an appropriate feeling to have. And we think if we forgive that person, that we're not holding them accountable, that we're ignoring it, that we're letting them get away with it. And so there's something in us that just sort of bucks up against that. And that, I think that's the image of God, you know, in us. But I think that the reason why we sort of think that justice is the enemy to forgiveness is because we don't have a clear idea of what forgiveness is. So we think forgiveness is ignoring sin, where actually, no, forgiveness requires that you honestly acknowledge what the person, you know, has done to you. And so it's not just sweeping it under the rug. Or we think that forgiveness means that we just hit the reset button, right? And then everything just kind of reverts back to normal. But no, one author talks about how when trust is broken, an earthquake happens in the relationship. And when the literal earth quakes, like, it means that the two pieces of earth, like, they no longer relate to each other in the same way. And they shouldn't relate to each other in the same way. So when someone sins against us, we shouldn't hit the reset button. That's like incredibly unwise. Right. Because they have revealed to us that they are not trustworthy. Right. And so we should not continue to relate to them in a trustworthy manner. And so, but I think if we think that that's what it is, then we were like, no, we don't want to do that. Or we think that it means to like completely reconcile with that person again. And so in the book, like, my goal is to offer like a definition for forgiveness so that we have clarity on what it is, but also have clarity on what it's not. And so, like, forgiveness is the merciful decision to release an offender of their debt and to not retaliate against them in anger. And that's not my definition. That's me, like, looking at every instance of forgiveness in scripture and being like, okay, this is kind of what I'm seeing happen here. And so the merciful decision part means that, like, we don't forgive people because they deserve it. You know, that's, you know, mercy is like, I'm extending you something that you don't deserve, you know, or withholding something that you do deserve. And we forgive people because when we didn't deserve it, Jesus forgave us. But it's also a decision, meaning it's not a feeling.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think I always thought that I've forgiven a person when I stop having angry feelings towards them. And it's like, nope, that's not it. It's just you making a decision to forgive them. And I saw that you put on Threads today, like, is it just a one-time decision or is it a continual decision? And I would say it's both.
Yeah.
Right? Like you make the one-time decision to forgive them and then you continue to forgive them over and over again to walk in step with your initial decision to forgive. And that's hard, right? Because that's the work of picking up your cross daily and dying to yourself, right? And so we all make the one-time decision to follow Jesus, but then we have to pick up our cross every single day and make the decision to die to ourselves. And the same is with forgiveness. It's like I forgive you, and now I have to live out that decision to forgive you, which means I might hold my tongue when I want to bring up old stuff, you know, or when I want to get my lick back later, you know, because I see an opportunity that I die to that impulse because I want to keep walking in forgiveness with you.
What do you say to people who, because I feel like I've observed this a lot where people are like, what's up, you guys? Listen, go right now to themeganashley.shop. We have brand new merch. It's finally here. Listen, they've been selling out. I don't want you to miss the opportunity to get the new collection. This collection is our Romans 12 collection. It's about being completely and wholly devoted to the Lord. I pray that you get these pieces and it opens up opportunities for you to share your faith with someone who thinks, you know, your item is dope or whatever you get. We got hats, we got sweatsuits, we have nylon zip-ups and shorts. Listen, guys, this collection is literally my favorite. We put so much work, me and the team, into this collection. We love it, and we pray that you love it too. Listen, go now. www.themeganashley.shop. I don't want you to miss your opportunity to get this exclusive collection. Once it's gone, it's gone. It's not coming back. All right, guys, love you. Back to the conversation. Yeah, I've forgiven, and then time goes by, and like you said, an opportunity comes to remember the offense or something triggered that offense again or whatever. And then it's like, oh, did I really forgive because now I'm having these feelings? Did I really forgive? And I think a lot of Christians struggle with that. Like, did I really forgive? Like, because now my feelings are hurt again. Or maybe there's a new layer that has been revealed about the offense.
Yeah.
And because I think for me, like I'm just personally thinking through myself. I told you earlier, I was like, I'm very resolute about forgiveness. Like I know what I've been forgiven from. And one thing my mama didn't raise is a hypocrite. So it's like, there's no way I could know what God has forgiven me from and not, and withhold forgiveness from it. Like that doesn't even compute in my brain. So that part I'm like clear about. It's not an option. But there have been recent situations where, because I think out of sight, out of mind is a thing, right? So it's like, you're not present in my world. So it's easy to say I've forgiven you because I don't see you.
Exactly.
I don't do life with you. I don't kick it with you. I don't skate with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't do nothing with you. So it's you're not in my space so there's nothing there to trigger anything.
Oh yeah.
And so how can we be clear about, maybe I did, like, is that forgiveness or is that just
it
circumstance?
Is, right,
you know what I'm saying? Like that's just the circumstance.
No, that's real. I think it is convenient and easy to forgive people when they're not in front of you. When they live several states away. And so then I only have to be on my best behavior with you, like on the holidays or, you know, that 1 to 2 times of the year that we see each other. It is different when your offender is in your face. You know, and it's harder when they're in your face because now you really are recommitting to that decision to forgive them probably every time you see them. And so even now, like I'm walking with somebody and, trying to live out forgiveness with them. And so in those moments where I see them and my flesh is prompted to ignore their presence, my flesh is prompted to like go in the other direction. But the spirit in me is prompting me to go and say hello. The spirit in me is prompting me to serve and to love them in a small way, in a safe way. And the question is like, am I going to respond to the flesh or am I going to respond to the spirit? Right. And so I think in those moments, just because we have those feelings doesn't mean that we didn't forgive that person.
Got it.
What matters is what we do with those feelings. And so it's like, am I going to submit to what I feel in this moment, or am I going to submit to the spirit? Am I going to partner with the spirit in what he is inviting me to do, which is to extend mercy and compassion towards this person? And for me, I have to, because that is hard. I have to remember the compassion and the mercy that God extended to me.
Correct.
And I have to also remember that, like, I live in a story that's much bigger than mine, right? And I have been casted to play a role in the story that God is telling. And one of the things that's really hard for me is in writing this book, one of the hardest things for me to write was that God is not only interested in your salvation, he's also interested in the salvation of your offender, because it is his desire that everyone would come to repentance. And so imagine if you were to extend compassion and mercy and grace on someone who's offended you, like how that puts on display, like, the compassionate, merciful, gracious God to them. And that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to bring glory to God. We're supposed to point people to him. And I think when we forgive, we put the gospel. We put the gospel on display. And so it's like, I want to partner with the spirit and show love to this person and not condemn them. Because if I condemn them, then I'm partnering with the kingdom of darkness. I'm partnering with the accuser of the brethren. And that's just going to heap more condemnation on that person's soul than necessary. I was reading,
because I think this is interesting. I was listening to, I think it was Tim Keller. I always listen to Tim Keller.
He's a good one to listen to.
Man, I'm just like, Tim Keller just says some of the most profound things sometimes, and I'm just like, that had to come from God. But I was interested in Genesis, in the story of Joseph, like at the end of the book, he talks about Joseph's father dies. His brothers basically send a letter, and he says, the father commanded us to ask you for forgiveness. And Joseph basically is like, he responds and he's like, am I God? Like he has that response of like, do I hold the position of God? Like, I'm not God. Who am I to not forgive, basically, is what Joseph is saying. And I don't think that we realize the magnitude or the in-depth implications when we choose to not forgive. Is that you are choosing to be God. And I hear so much language, and I started to hear language where, even from Christians, where forgiveness seemed optional. Like it seemed like we get to choose when we forgive, how we forgive, if we forgive. And so how does your book kind of come and speak to those people who feel like they have an option to forgive? They have an option at what pace they forgive, and they have an option of how to forgive.
I think one of the things that was really clear to me in studying the passages where Jesus is speaking about forgiveness, is that Jesus takes forgiveness really seriously. Anytime Jesus is having a conversation about forgiveness, he's also having a conversation about eternity, particularly as it relates to our eternal destination, if you will. And so for me, it's very apparent that for Jesus, it's not optional, you know? And so because he's using very, very strong language about it, it's also in the Lord's Prayer, right? That and the Lord's Prayer is something that is expected for us to pray daily, right? Because I mean, one, culturally, we know that just from their context, they had all of these select prayers and they would pray certain prayers daily. And so when the disciples say, teach us how to pray, they're asking Jesus to give them a prayer, you know, as their rabbi. And so then this is the prayer that Jesus gives them. He says, pray for daily bread, right? But then even in that, and what we're supposed to pray daily is for forgiveness, but also to forgive others as, you know, as God has given us. And so for that, it's like, it's right up there with provision. It's right up there with praying for God's kingdom to come and his will to be done. It's right up there with praying to not be led into temptation and be delivered from evil. So it's really, really important. And I think that kind of emphasis helps us to know that it's not optional for Jesus, but also Jesus has an expectation that anyone who's received his forgiveness will extend his forgiveness. And he makes that really clear in Matthew 18, the parable of the unforgiving servant. Peter is like, yo, how many times I got to forgive this joker? You know, is 7 times enough? And Jesus responds, nah, 70, you know, times 7. And I imagine that they all were kind of looking like, excuse me, what?
That's
like
a
how?
Lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
Like who's even counting that many times, right? And then he goes on to tell this parable about a servant who had this debt that he could not pay and how he pleaded with his master to forgive him of that debt, and then his master did. But then that same servant went out
the
audacity. He found the audacity, right? Went out, found his fellow servant. I love that Jesus puts this fellow in front of that because he's kind of hinting to the fact that y'all are the same, right? Y'all are the same. You both live in a broken and fallen world. You both have a sin debt before your master. But instead of extending mercy and grace to his fellow servant who owed him a debt, he instead chokes him and has him put into prison. And then what's interesting is everybody in the town is like upset about this. They like, I can't believe this man did this, right? So then they go to the master, and then the master says to the unforgiving servant, you wicked servant. How could you do this after I've forgiven you all of this debt? How could you not forgive your fellow servant? And then the whole moral of the story, if you will, is he says, so it will be with any one of you who does not forgive, who's not merciful, who does not forgive from the heart. And it's like we have to do something with what Jesus says, right?
We have to take it serious.
We can't water it down. And so for me, I often say, like, because I think people can get like, oh, that's hard and that's harsh and all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, I think Jesus is telling us this parable to help us to evaluate our hearts, help us to evaluate whether or not we truly understand what it meant for Jesus to go on the cross and die for our sins. And I would say if you have a forgiveness problem, if forgiveness is hard for you, then you might just need to like start with spending time meditating on the gospel. You might need to start with just preaching the gospel to yourself and reminding yourself of the love and the mercy and the compassion of God that you've received, so that you can be inspired and empowered to extend that to other people. So if you're saying like, I don't got it, it's like, okay, go preach the gospel to yourself. Go remember what Jesus did for you, and let that be the thing that helps you to move towards those who offend you.
That's so good, because it's funny. I had my Patreon community, I gave them a challenge that when they pray, they would rehearse the gospel out loud to themselves. So I was like, I don't know how long we did it for, like, I don't know if it was a month or a couple weeks or whatever, but I was like, when you pray, number one, posture yourself in a specific position. Like I wanted them to actually physically posture themselves on their face before the Lord, because I think that provokes a certain type of humility. And I love a lazy prayer. Okay, I love to be up in my bed and say, Lord, you know every thought. You know what I'm thinking.
You got it, Lord.
You got it. Like, hey, my man, it's on you. You know what I'm saying? I love a lazy prayer, but there was a season in my life where I was provoked to respond to him in the way that he deserves to be responded to. And it was this idea that he's holy. And I don't want to treat him casually. And so I'm like, he's a holy God. I can get out of my bed and I can get on my face because he's holy and that's what he's deserving of, right? Not saying that if you don't do that, the Lord doesn't hear your prayers. Please don't get on thread, talk about making sense.
Stop.
Don't do that. That's not what I said. But it was just something about like, let's posture ourselves in this way. And then as you pray, rehearse the gospel to yourself. And the testimonies that were coming from that, just by rehearsing the gospel to themselves. Rehearse the gospel story to yourself from beginning to end. What did it mean for Christ to go on the cross? And I think if we had a commitment to put that in the forefront of our minds and to live with that awareness, not just think about it on Resurrection Sunday, but to really think about that every single day, I think it would provoke more forgiveness and more of a quicker pace at forgiving, not putting it off. Do you know what I'm saying? But responding to that conviction immediately. Because I think when you don't realize what you've been forgiven from, it's natural to, I'm gonna keep this close to, you know what I'm saying? And it has showed me that I really don't believe that he's a just God. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it has revealed, I refuse to forgive you because I actually don't trust that he's going to take care of that.
Yeah. No, that's real. So we talk about that in the book. There's a chapter that says living beyond anger, and also living beyond abuse. And Psalm 37 has like been sort of a helpful sign for me, particularly when anger is the thing that's preventing me to forgive. And so at the top of it, David says, fret not yourself over evildoers. And then he tells you why. He's like, because like the grass, they will soon wither away. And then he goes on to say, you trust in the Lord and you do good. You commit your way to him. He even says, delight in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And then he says that you can do all of these things because God is going to cause your righteousness and your justice to shine like the noonday sun. And so the key to Psalm 37 is that it's an imprecatory psalm. And so it's a psalm about justice. It's a psalm about somebody's offended them and they want justice. Right. And so he's like, hey, don't fret yourself. And that fret is not like an anxious fret. It's more of an angry kind of fret where you can't put your anger to bed because you're so consumed with it. And you're like, I need justice and I need it now. And so this is someone who's on the verge of maybe retaliating against somebody who has harmed him or them. And then David's like, yo, don't fret yourself over that. Why? Because like they're gonna wither away like the grass. But what I love is he brings clarity that this isn't just nature, taking its course. He says like, no, God's going to cause your righteousness and your justice to shine like the noonday sun. And I love that because it could have easily been written, God's going to cause his righteousness and his justice to shine like the noonday sun. And that would have given us great assurance. Right? But David puts it that way because God's not just trying to vindicate his name. Like he's trying to vindicate your name, right? And so he's going to cause your righteousness and your justice to shine like the noonday sun. And it's in light of that, then we can trust in the Lord and do good. And we can commit our ways to him and that we can delight in him, knowing that he will give us the desires of our heart. Now we have to read that in context because the desire of the person that David is talking to, that person's desire is justice. So we're not talking about a car or family or a spouse. He's saying, no, if you delight yourself in the Lord, he will give you the justice that you desire. And so he's like, hey, stop fretting over your offender and you trust in the Lord and do good. You forgive, you love, you show mercy, you show kindness to them, and trust that God is on the case. He's going to cause your righteousness and your justice to shine like the noonday sun.
That's good. I wanna talk about something you talked about in the book, where I'm interested in your thoughts in it. Is that you talk about being shalom avoidant and shalom demanding.
Oh, my girl was in the book.
So I'm interested in those two things, because I was looking at it and I was like, I feel like I've found myself in both.
Oh yeah.
Categories, being like, I don't even care. I'm good. I just, ghost out. I'm straight. I don't want to deal with it. And then being like, no, like, I used to be like that a lot. Shalom demanding. Let's resolve it now. And so I'm interested in, just like how you kind of work through those two things. So I think I've never heard that being framed in that way. So that was just interesting.
Yeah. So shalom is the biblical idea of wholeness and thriving. When someone sins against us, they disrupt our sense of shalom. They disrupt our wholeness, our well-being, our sense of security, our sense of safety, those kinds of things. And in our attempt to get our shalom back, we can either become shalom avoidant or we can become shalom demanding. Another way to put that is that we can either go into a flight response where we try to protect ourselves from the pain, or we can go into a fight response, which is shalom demanding, and we're like, yo, you're gonna pay me what you owe me. And not only you gonna pay me what you owe me, but I'm gonna get my lick back.
Right.
I'm gonna get my lick back because I want your shalom to be as disrupted as you disrupted mine. And so we retaliate against them. And so I think that shalom avoidance is when we are sort of in this desire to protect our peace, good vibes only, getting rid of toxic people in our life. And if we're honest, sometimes those people aren't toxic. They're just human. They're just weak. They just get on our nerves. They just annoy us. It's not necessarily that they're toxic, meaning they're not abusive, they're not manipulative, they don't actually lie. They just get on our nerves. Yeah. And so we're human. But we're in that, we're trying to protect our shalom versus trying to make shalom. And that's what we're called to do. We're not called to protect our peace. That's not a command we see in scripture.
That's good.
We are called to make peace. And biblical peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the harmony of shalom. That's Dr. Tim Mackey's definition. And so how do we not allow sort of our defense mechanism to become that we just recoil from things that are hard and that are difficult? And we kind of raise what my sis Kobe Campbell talks about, our distress tolerance, so that we can move towards those people to repair the ruptures that naturally occur in our relationship. And so I think in the book, I think I ask a question of like, are you more shalom avoidant? Are you more shalom demanding? But then also another qualifier in that, are there certain scenarios and relationships where you find yourself being more shalom avoidant or more shalom demanding? Because I think we all have the capacity
to do either one.
To do both. But how do we have enough sort of self-awareness to know when we tend to do one more over the other?
What would you say to the person who is in either category? So say I have more of a tendency to be more shalom avoidant. How do you speak and disciple that person? And then for the person who's more shalom demanding, how do you speak and disciple that person?
Yeah, I think for the person who's shalom demanding, I would probably walk them through Psalm 37. I'll walk them through Romans, where it says to be kind and tenderhearted. And then also where it says like, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. So it's like, hey, like that's not the justice part. Isn't your business. That's the Lord's business. Your part is the forgiveness part. Can you trust God to take care of you? Can you trust God to cause your righteousness and your justice to shine like the noonday sun? Because I appreciate how you said that. In some cases, in a lot of cases when it comes to the command of Jesus, it's a matter of trust. And I think forgiveness is one of those too. Can you trust God to take care of it.
Yeah.
And then for the person who's more shalom avoidant, and that's definitely me. I don't like conflict, but some of the things I often have to say to myself is one, I rehearse Ephesians 1:9-10 a lot, where it says, this is the mystery of the Lord's will to unite all things in the heavens and the earth in Christ. And so then I'm asking the question, how can I live as a shalom maker in the world by pursuing my brother or sister who has sinned against me, so that I can be eager to maintain the unity of the peace. And so that's me just immediately trying to grab hold of like the gospel and what God is doing in the world to motivate me and to help me to take the steps that I need to make. And then also what helps me is remembering, and this is probably something that just resonates with me because of the whole nursing and caring for people, but recognizing that when someone sins against me, they also sin against God.
That part, yeah.
And so I'm not necessarily going to them to get stuff off my chest.
Yeah.
I'm going to them so that we can have a conversation of what's going on in their heart, right? That caused them to move in this direction. Yes, we're going to talk about the pain and the anger that I feel about that, but really my goal in that is to see them not just reconciled back to me, but to be reconciled to God. And so I'm often saying to myself, like, Yana, you have to make God's goals your goals. And God's goals is for your brother or sister to be restored and to be whole in Christ. And so how can you partner with God to make shalom versus trying to avoid something that's difficult?
Yeah, I like the language of, because I think, I don't know where we were. Me and Jackie were talking about this on a flight, and I was saying how in relationships, I think we were talking about relationships and community, and I was saying how like we have to be more mindful that in relationships, in community, when it comes to people, having that type of curiosity to say, who am I going to partner with in this opportunity? Because every opportunity is an opportunity to partner with either Satan or the Lord.
Yep.
And so it's like, what is this opportunity bringing me, and who am I going to decide to partner with? And I think that we have to learn how to slow down.
Yes.
I was talking about this in my last guest, is that Tim Keller talks about being a thinking Christian. Like you have to use your brain and think. And so it's like taking a moment to pause and say, okay, I'm aware of how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm even aware of what I'm tempted to do. I'm aware of what I'm tempted to do in light of these feelings. Who am I going to partner with?
Yep.
Am I going to partner with Satan and be an agent of chaos and disunity and discord? Or am I going to partner with the Lord and be an agent of shalom?
That's so good.
Reconciliation,
That's so good.
love, right? Mercy. Like, who am I going to partner with? And then also what I've also started to ask myself is that what would bring God glory in this? What would make his name great in this situation?
That's so good.
And I don't think that has to be limited to big things. I think that if we just kept that as I'm going to practice thinking this way. Who am I going to partner with? What would give God the most glory? Is it this or is it this? You know what I mean? And I think if we would practice that and slow down and not just react to what we feel, I think that they would give us an opportunity to at least allow the Spirit to prompt us to do what is pleasing to the Lord.
Yeah.
Because my feelings be fast.
Same. Same.
You know what I'm saying? And I got a mouth.
Yeah.
Huh?
Same. Yeah, that's so good. Because I've been wrestling with that whole, like, when Paul says, like, be slow to anger.
Yeah.
And I'm like, or when it says that God is slow to anger. And I'm like, yo, how? And so I've literally been just trying to slow down my anger so that I don't respond in a reactive way to people. And so sometimes if I'm offended by something, I'll be like, let's just give it a day. Let's just give it a day. If you're still offended by it tomorrow, then sure, maybe have a conversation. Or just even slowing down by evaluating my own heart and asking the question like, okay, why did that upset me?
Yeah.
Am I maybe overreacting? Is there anything else going on in my world that could cause me to maybe be feeling this on a deeper level than I should? And if so, like, let me just back out of that a little bit. And so I'm learning how to slow that down. But I loved what you said about, like, the question is, are we going to partner with the kingdom of heaven? Are we going to partner with the kingdom of darkness? And I've been in Ephesians 6, where he says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities and dominions and all that. And I think it's really interesting that Paul ends a letter that's total focus is on unity with a passage about spiritual warfare. And I think what he's getting at is, like, when he says flesh and blood, he's like, you're not wrestling against your brother and sister. Like, you're wrestling against the kingdom of darkness, right? And so it's just been like, behind every relational conflict is a spiritual battle. And for me, I have to be aware of that. Because if I'm not aware of that, I might make short-sighted decisions, right? I might just give in to whatever it is that I'm feeling and say whatever I want to say, not worried about the consequences of it. But when I know that, no, there are rulers and dominions and principalities behind this relational conflict. Now, that doesn't excuse what they did,
correct,
right? But how I respond to it, like you said, like, am I gonna, like, partner with God in the spirit, or I'm going to partner with the evil one? Am I going to be members of righteousness or members of unrighteousness? But I don't think that we are zooming out enough, like, when we're in conflict with someone, to see all of the stuff that's going on.
The bigger picture,
like in the spirit world. But that's why I think Paul says it that way. Hey, you're not wrestling against flesh and blood. Like, y'all can handle that. But you're actually wrestling against the evil one. And remember, if God's goal is unity,
then
right?
we'll see.
Then what you think this joke on? Like,
for sure.
Like,
he on something else.
He on something completely, entirely different. And I have to be aware of that when I'm in conflict with people.
I think about, too, the way where Jesus says, like, they will know that you're my disciples based off of how you love one another. Like, they're going to know how you treat one another, the unity that you have between each other, how you, and I think that's something that we got to be aware of, because when I look at Christians right now, hello. Not everybody. I'm not saying there ain't unity anywhere. There is unity some places. But when I just look at, like, if I was not a Christian and I was just looking at Christian TikTok and I was looking at Christian Threads and I was looking at Christian Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I feel like that's where the old people be at. I ain't on Facebook. But if you're on Facebook, I don't know what they're doing over there. I'm not on there. But when I look at all the other mediums, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's like, why would you want to be a part of that club, right? If it, like, why would you want to be a part of that community?
It's like, I don't think y'all like each other.
You couldn't.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. I'm like, is this something? This is why your book is needed. Because I'm just like, we're not getting it. We're looking to, I feel like we're living in a time where people are looking to be offended. It's like, at this point, I want to be offended. I get on the app and I'm like, offend me so I can literally, because I feel like people don't know how to have emotional intelligence. And so you look for opportunities to actually release what you don't want to release to the Lord. Because you don't have the humility to release it to him. You find opportunities to be offended and then you release it out on them. And it's like, all I said was, I don't like chicken. And y'all are mad. Like, you're mad.
You're mad. Yeah. No, I've seen some really comical
crazy
things on the internet. It's like, hey, I actually saw that reel that you're referring to, and that person didn't say that. Didn't say that at all. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. But I do think, we do live in a culture that it feels like people are looking to be offended. And I'm really curious to know, like, what that is about. It's kind of like, I don't watch scary movies because I don't like to be scared, And so, like, if you're someone who's looking to be offended, I wonder if you're looking for a place to let go of your anger. Because you're not doing that like at home with the right people.
Mhm.
You're actually mad at somebody else.
Yep.
But because you feel like you can't actually be really mad at that person the way that you
Yep.
want to, then you take all of that anger
On someone else.
on someone else. And so there's definitely got to be a psychosis to that, and somebody needs to study that, because that's just really interesting.
It is.
Like, why do you want to be offended? Why are
Yeah.
you seeking that out? Why are you so reactive? Why are you so sensitive?
That part.
And yeah, like that's problematic.
And I try to be realistic, because I know that we are actually living in like the last days. Like, I think we,
Mhm.
you know, they said the last days when I was a baby. So maybe now we in the last hour.
We're in the last
You know what I'm
hour.
saying? We getting down to the last minutes. I don't know. That's what it feels like.
Mhm.
But I do understand that love will wax cold. Like, there's going to be lovelessness.
Mhm, mhm.
So I don't think offense is going to cease.
Yeah.
I think it's going to increase. But I think for the Christians, we have to be aware of, like, again, not to plug John Bevere's book up again, but it's a bait.
It's a bait.
Offense is a bait
Yeah, it is.
that Satan uses.
Mhm.
Because, like you said, if the Lord is for unity, then what is he on?
Yeah.
He's
what
for
is he on?
disunity.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so I think that that's something that we have to be vigilant in when it comes to that. And what I was also interested in for you, and I'm wondering, because similar to my story, you started off the book talking about your dad.
Mhm.
And so do you believe that that's where a seed for you might have started with your because I know that was the first opportunity for forgiveness
Yeah.
that you talked about. So talk us through,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's so many people that have that same
Mhm.
context, maybe not father specific,
Mhm.
but mom or, you know,
Mhm.
someone really close to them.
Yeah. Yeah. So my dad, he was an alcoholic. And I didn't really understand that when I was a kid.
Mhm.
But there would be seasons where he would be sober. Then there'd be seasons where he would relapse. And when he was sober, he was a really present, good, fun dad.
Mhm.
But then when he was not sober, he was inconsistent. He was often, absent. And as a kid, that does a lot of wear and tear on your heart to just have this person just
Yeah,
bouncing
yeah.
in and out of your life. And because, I had a lot of friends whose dad wasn't in their life, like I never really allowed myself to fully grieve his absence.
Mhm.
I never really allowed myself to fully grieve the pain of like him not being at birthday parties
Mm.
and those kinds of things. And so I remember there was just like kind of this turning point. Specifically, I saw this statistic where it said 78% of children that are being born into Black families are being born in single parent homes.
Mm.
And for the first time, I just like wept. Like I
Mm.
wept for like our community, and then like I wept for myself.
Mm.
And it was just in this very vulnerable moment with the Lord where I sensed the Lord say, just because something is normal doesn't mean that it doesn't
Mhm.
hurt. And so I remember I was like sitting on the floor next to my bed, and I just cried. And then
Mm.
I came into this awareness that I had just been kind of carrying around this backpack with me that was like fear of trusting other people,
Mhm.
fear of rejection, all this stuff that I had kind of inherited from his absence and
Mhm.
from sort of his in and out in my life. And that I had just been taking this backpack into almost every relationship
Mm.
that I had. So it wasn't just that my dad wasn't there. That wasn't the only thing I had to forgive him of, but also forgiving him of like the impact that his absence was having on my life. And so I remember there was a woman who was discipling me, and we had a tough go at it, And I remember she's like, Yana, you don't trust anybody. And I'm like, yeah, why would I trust you? Like,
Mm.
And just really having to wrestle with my lack of ability to trust people. But then it was this community coming around me and just kind of like calling me on my stuff.
Mm.
Hey, you shut down in meetings. you know, like you can't do that, you know, it calling me to like mature out of those things. And so it was hard. So I had to go to counseling so I could heal and like figure some things out about myself. And while I was doing that, my dad called me. And so it was on a Valentine's Day. Why do I remember that? Because I went to go get pancakes that morning. I love pancakes. Went to go get pancakes that morning. I'm sitting in a booth and I look up and there are all these tables filled with dads and their kids. And I just begin to cry. Like I just weep. And I'm like, check, please, get me out of here immediately. So I leave and my dad calls. Like he just picks and I'm like, excuse me. He was like, hey, I was just calling to wish you a happy Valentine's Day. Now the cynic in me was like, bruh, you didn't miss Thanksgiving, Christmas, the New Year. You calling on Thanksgiving. This is our Valentine's Day. This is weird, bro. But I remember like there was a vulnerability in his voice that I hadn't heard in a while. There was a soberness in his voice that I hadn't heard in a while. And even though he didn't apologize, I could tell that something was changing for him. And so then we were like trying to figure out how to be in a relationship with each other. And I'm trying to forgive him, but like really struggling because it's just really hard because it's not like he had changed completely. Yeah. He was in this process of changing. And we're trying to figure things out. And during that time, he said some really hurtful things. You know, he would still make plans and not show up for them sometimes. And so that was really, really hard. But then I remember the Lord telling me like, hey, your dad is just a human, you know? Yeah. And he also is a human who is not in relationship with me. And you have this standard that he's never going to meet. Like he's just never going to meet it. And so how do you relinquish that standard and like love the dad that you have and just accept the dad that you have and forgive the dad that you have. Jeez. And so that was kind of a turning point for me where I was able to see my dad as a human, as someone who's broken and fallen and living in a broken and fallen world, who struggles with alcoholism, who's in need of God's help and his mercy. That doesn't mean that I didn't maybe, you know, still want him to be, you know, a different kind of dad, but it was like, how can I move forward with the one, you know, that I have? And so we were talking about this earlier, just about how like, he wasn't taking all the steps that I wanted him to take, you know, but he was taking some steps. And so how do I meet him in the steps, you know, that he's taking? And in that process, a friend of mine just really confronted me and was like, hey, I think what you have with your dad is false reconciliation, not true reconciliation. She was like, because you've never had an honest conversation with him about how he hurt you. And so I was like, okay, sis, cool. Come for my neck then, you know? And so she held me accountable, like to go home, talk to my dad, have the conversation with him. And when I did, like that was really the thing that really helped turn the corner in our relationship. And I even had to apologize to him because I was like, even though you're the first cause in this, like I've added some offenses to this, and I need to apologize for that. And yeah, we had a reconciling conversation, and it was really, really beautiful. And I'm so glad that the Lord gave that to us, because like 2 months later, my dad passed. Wow. He just unexpectedly passed, and that was really hard. And on the one hand, I was like, God, why would you give me my dad back only to take him away? And then on the other hand, I was like, man, God, I'm so grateful that we had this conversation and that our relationship didn't end the way that it was. And so it was a really, really tough season for me, because I was like, oh, I thought we were going to be able to write a different kind of ending to our story. And we did, but I thought we just had more time. And for me personally, I think that experience is kind of like created an urgency in me to not hold on to things for too long, because you just don't know how long you will have people in your life. And I don't say that to like rush anybody, because in the book I talk about how like forgiveness is a process. Like it's not something that you can always get to really quickly. I think it's something that you grow into. Your capacity to forgive sort of grows as you mature, you know, in Christ. So I want to respect where people are. But I would say like, don't just think that you'll have time, because that's just not really promised like to you.
That's, man, I think, yeah, I'm trying not to get emotional, but I'm sorry to hear about your dad. That I didn't know that. And I think that for so many people, it's like what you said. I think we think that we do have time. I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it next year, or I'll do it after the holidays, or I'll do it, you know. And so I pray, and it's interesting because I've had this on my heart for some time, urgency in the way that we move in the things of the Lord in general. But even for you to say like, and I was having this conversation with Jordan when we were in South Africa. I felt convicted about how I was moving, and the Lord was just like, yeah, like the Satan, the Bible says that Satan is prowling around looking for someone to devour. And I sensed that the Lord was showing me that like his pace is quick. He sees an opportunity, he pounces on it quickly. Therefore, our pace has to be quick. And so if you see an opportunity to forgive, forgive. If you see an opportunity to love, love. If you see an opportunity to comfort, comfort. If you see an opportunity to help, help. Like I think our pace does matter. Do you know what I mean? And I think, and yes, take time to process with the Lord. I understand that. But even in that, don't take.
Don't
Do you know what I'm saying? I'll do it
on vacation.
Like I'll do it when I'm done watching Netflix or something. I don't know. But just like the pace, I think the pace matters. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if your friend wasn't obedient to tell you like, no, I think you have maybe false reconciliation, and for you to, you could have took that and sat on it.
Could have,
you know, but the pace in which you moved, I just think that we have to respond with urgency when the Lord is prompting us to do stuff, because we don't know, you know, we don't know how much time that we have. So I pray that like encourages everyone that's watching to, just don't take advantage of your perception of time, but just like move when the Lord tells you to move.
For sure.
This was, I guess, helpful for me. I'm like, is that conviction? I don't like it. I don't like it. What part of the book do you feel like when you were writing the book in the process, and I know you were going through your own stuff, battling different forgiveness stuff, what do you feel like was the hardest chapter for you to write?
The hardest chapter for me to write. Oh, I think the hardest chapter for me to write was living beyond abuse. One, because it wasn't something that I have personally experienced, but it is something that I have walked with other people through, whether it's through discipleship or, you know, just ministry in a church context, or even when I was doing college ministry. And for me, it was very important to handle that topic with care. One, because I think when you ask someone who's been abused to forgive the person who abused them, I think it for them, it can feel like an act of treason against themselves. Because it's like, man, this person has completely disrupted my sense of shalom, you know, body, soul, like all of that. And so how do I just forgive them? And so I wanted to create enough space in that chapter for people to be where they are, but then also to like call them up at the same time, particularly because I did have one friend who's experienced abuse to kind of say that, there can kind of be this idea that if you are someone who's experienced abuse, that you get like an exception clause, that's not something that you need to do. Now, once again, forgiveness is a decision. It's not reconciling. It's not ignoring. It's not any of those things. And so definitely not, encouraging like that you just reconcile with someone who has shown themselves to be unsafe. But I do think that we're still called, like in scripture, to forgive. But I walked through Psalm 37 in that chapter, talking about how God will cause your righteousness and your justice to shine like the noonday sun. And as I wrote that, like the Spirit just brought to mind, it's like, hey, for someone who's experienced abuse, usually their question is, where was God? Right? Where was God when this thing happened to me? And so for them, this idea that God will cause your righteousness and your justice to shine like the noonday sun, that may not feel like good news, because why should I trust him to do that when he didn't protect me, right? And so feeling like I had to deal, like kind of wrestle with that. In that chapter, I also kind of like address some of the things we say to people who've experienced abuse that are just really maybe not helpful. And so we'll say things like, God will give you double for your trouble, based off of Job. And it's like, I don't think Job would say that to anybody. Just because he had 14 children after losing 7. Have those 14 children don't replace the 7 that he lost. And so I don't think that's what we need to say. I think sometimes we rush to Romans 8:28 too fast. I mean, it's still true. Like God does work in all things for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. But I think if that person had an opportunity to choose whether or not to have that thing happen to them at all, they would say, no, thank you.
Correct.
Even if God would work
right.
mightily through it, I opt out, right? And so I was like, I don't think that's something that we should say to them, or we'll say what Joseph said in the end, where it's like, well, the evil one meant this for my bad, but God meant this for good. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, guys. I think we need to like put that away. Like just don't say that. Because Joseph's story is in Joseph's confession at the end of his life. That's really unique to him. And that's his interpretation of what God is doing in his life. But that may not be the interpretation that everybody should take on. And so we deal with the problem of evil in that chapter. But it's like the problem of evil exists not because there's a problem with God, but because there's a problem with humanity, because sin exists, and we live in a broken and fallen world, and we have free will, right? And people use their free will in very harmful ways. And so that was really hard because it just felt like there were all these things that we had to like sort of deal with, and then you're contending with the word count of the chapter. And I just didn't want to leave people hanging in any way. I really wanted to try as much as possible to put an airtight, if you will, sort of case for forgiveness for those who've experienced abuse.
That's good. What my last few questions I have is, one of them is, what do you say to those who have been betrayed, offended, hurt, abandoned, abused, couching offense and all of that, right? How do you encourage people to have hope again? Because I think that that's really hard when you've been betrayed, when you've been hurt, when you've been, deeply offended, deeply sinned against, is to not only have hope in people again, but having hope in God. Like, how do you encourage people to have hope beyond offense?
Like when someone offends us, we have to be careful to not shift the blame from our offender to God, right? And allow questions like, why did they do that, to turn into questions, why did God let this happen, right? Or to even shift the blame from that person to ourselves, right? They are the person who sinned against you, not God and not you. They sinned against you. Their sin is their sin, their responsibility. And for me, one of the things I've had to do just to live beyond the offenses of other people, to build relationships with other people, is I have to separate the past from the present, right? And so I'm often having to tell myself, Yana, this person is not your dad. This person is not your dad. Or this person isn't that friend that betrayed you. Like, let them have their own story. Be careful to not allow them to, or not make them pay the debt of what someone else did. Like, give them their own sort of opportunity to reveal to you who they are. But then I also have to acknowledge that it's scary. And so I recently did this with a friend. It was like, hey, this is actually like kind of scary for me. It was my friend Elizabeth Whitson. We have started a podcast together, and it was 2 years in the making, like, of us having a conversation. And after we had the first conversation, I was like, yeah, girl, I don't know if I want to do this, because we cool and we kiki on the phone, and it's a good time. But when we start doing stuff together, that creates more opportunity for conflict. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that. And I don't think I want to do something so public with you. When I was like, we haven't even had a conflict yet. So I don't even know how you handle conflict. Right. And so I was like, I trust you, but I don't know if I trust you. For sure. So it's like, but I was so grateful. I shared that with her, and then she just kind of like let me be where I was. And was like, we don't have to do the podcast. It's totally fine. And giving me space to like heal. And then I was like, oh, I think I can trust this girl, and we can do this thing together. So for me, I have to acknowledge those things. But I do remember, even when my dad came back into my life, a mentor, I think it was Lorna Johnson, said this to me, because I was like, I don't know if he's going to relapse again. I don't know if he's going to abandon me again. Like, I was like, I don't feel like I can trust him. And I remember, I think it was Lorna saying to me, Yana, you may not be able to trust your dad, but you can trust God. Like, you can trust God, and not in the sense that you can trust God to keep you safe from harm, like, or the harm of offense again. But you can trust God to heal you again. That when someone sins against you, you can trust that God will heal you again. Good. And that's really been the thing that helps me to move forward in new relationships too, particularly when it comes maybe on like the cusp of like just losing a relationship. And that was the thing with Elizabeth. Like, I just lost a friendship of, I don't know, so many years. And then Elizabeth comes in and I'm like, yeah, girl, you can sit over there. For sure. For sure. But being like, no, if I do get hurt, I can trust that God will heal me again, because that's my track record with him. That's good. Is that every time I've gotten hurt, he's healed me. He's taken care of me. He's provided community. And I can trust him with that. Yeah. I think that's good, is that I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it in that way, because I think the perception is that we want to avoid being hurt. And the reality is that as long as humans are here, as long as we're here, until Jesus comes back, until he comes back, and cracks them skies, we're going to have the opportunity to be offended, hurt, whatever. Like, that's it, just the cost of humanity. But I love what you said, is like, it's not so much that he's going to eliminate the hurt, but he's going to heal. Like, he is going to keep you. And I think that's good, like, keeping his track record in mind, is that if I do get into another friend, because that was hard for me. It's like, I don't want to be friends with nobody. I'm good. As long as I got King Jesus. I'm straight. Okay? I got these kids. I had Jordan J. I had my mama. I'm fine. But the more I thought back on just the totality of my life, I'm like, he's always kept me. You know what I'm saying? Things have been bad, but he's kept me. Things that were hard, but he kept me. There was abuse here, but he still kept me. I almost took my life, but he kept me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he's been a keeper. He's a keeper. You know what I'm saying? And so I pray that people are encouraged that, like, if you have been hurt, whether it's a friend or a parent or a church or whatever, don't let that hinder you from entering into relationships, because God, I think he is fiercely after us being in community.
and having relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think that is a plot and scheme of the enemy to disunify people and to isolate people and to keep people from, experiencing relationships. And so I think what you said is super helpful. Is like, the Lord may not keep me from hurt, but he will keep me.
Yeah.
And he will heal me if
Yeah.
hurt occurs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there are trustworthy people
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
Like there really are. There are people in your life who are worthy of your trust, who have good character, who have sincere motives towards you, and who have a proven track record with you. Like there are people in your life that are worthy of your trust. And I even I'm walking through something that's really hard, and it's a community of us. We're walking through something really hard, and one of them said, God knew that this was going to happen before it happened. And for whatever reason, that's giving them peace. It wasn't really giving me peace. I said, that's cute.
He said, well, I'm glad that's working for you.
But that's not.
However, for me, I'm going to need something else, okay?
That's not working for me. And I remember in my time with the Lord, like last week, like that coming back to mind, and the Lord being like, yeah, I did see this before you saw it coming. And I put people in your life to help you navigate it. Like, and so there are people like who just now have come into my life who are showing up in ways that like don't make any kind of sense to me.
Yeah.
It's just otherworldly, like love. It's like love from the Lord, the way that they've prayed for me, the way that they walked with me during this time. It's like, oh, the God who foreknew that this thing was coming put these people in my life beforehand so that I wouldn't sink, right? Good. So that my faith wouldn't slip, so that I wouldn't give up on ministry. And I mean, these people literally carried me through this time. And so in this moment, I'm learning that, I actually do need people for the times when someone does offend me, so that I'm already in this community that reminds me that all people aren't like this, right? But there are people in our lives who are worthy of our trust, and can bring a lot of joy into our worlds.
That's good. What do you want people to walk away with? Obviously, we want people to forgive people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what the Lord said, y'all. It ain't no option. We covered that.
Yeah.
But like, what's like, what is your heart? Like, I want people to read this, and this is what I want them to walk away with.
Yeah, I think I want people, this has been my prayer, is that a movement of shalom makers would rise. Like that the Lord would create a movement of shalom makers. And that's not just forgiveness, right? That's a movement of people who are compassionate, who are merciful, who are kind, who embody the character of Christ, who are slow to anger, right? Which means that they may also be slow to offense, who are curious and don't jump to assumptions, who just the very posture of their lives is one to make shalom. And so that's my heart, because I think if that's true, then, these little offenses, get tied up a little bit quicker. People become less offended. We're less concerned about ourselves and how people are treating us and those kinds of things. Not that we don't need to be concerned about those things, but we're not, that's not our primary aim. Even when we are going to someone to have a hard conversation, it's more so like, man, I'm really concerned about you. Because the way you talked to me yesterday was crazy. Like absolutely crazy. It was out of character for you. So I'm just trying to figure out like what's going on, sis? Are you okay? Like how we we could talk about me and you later, but like how are you? Right?
For sure.
And I want people to be free enough. To be able to do it
with a sincere heart, not passive aggressively.
Don't do that. That's not nice.
That's not nice. It's like, if you're going to do it passive aggressively, just don't do it.
Yeah, just
right?
Take 24 hours.
Yeah, just do what Yana said, sleep on it. Okay? And then come back. But I think that curiosity.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's an agent of being a shalom maker too. That's an ingredient of that. Is just being curious and being like, hey, when you said that, I don't want to assume that you meant it this way. Did you mean it? Like being curious before accusatory, I think will also help us in that. But I think you need to do a whole shalom movement. I don't know if it's hashtag shalom agent. I don't know. We need t-shirts. I'm happy to wear it. I'm happy to be on the committee.
The committee?
The Shalom committee.
Yeah, the Shalom committee. Yeah.
I don't know if we got shirts or badges.
We have something in the works.
Okay. Please let me know so I can support.
I'm not true to this. I'm new to this. And so I'm still trying to figure out how to do those kinds of things. But
don't you worry. One thing I'm good at is promoting other people. Now myself, not so much. But one thing I do know how to do.
You know how to promote.
I know how to promote other people. So you send me the information, the shirts that I got you. We'll have a whole shalom movement.
I love it.
And we will have peace and mercy spreading around. Hopefully we get it on Threads and TikTok, because that's where the shalom needs to be.
That's where it needs to be.
It needs to be on these social medias.
Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Come back. I know there's so much more in the book, because I didn't get to read the whole thing.
Okay.
But there's so much more that I want to dig into. And I know it's one of those books where I'm like, yeah, my Patreon community, like, we need to walk through this book. We need to, because it's such an important topic that I think, it's like, if we don't learn how to live beyond offense, we're going to destroy each other.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks
I love you. I'm so
me.
excited for you
and
your book. And I'm praying for you, because I already know the enemy hates you. I'm so sorry. Well, I mean, I'm not sorry.
It's been tough.
I know. I get it. I get it, girl. I get it. You guys, make sure you check out Yana's new book, Living Beyond Offense. Like I said, it's going to be on my Amazon storefront. Y'all already know. Y'all know I'll buy a bunch and hand them out to the Village community. I'll make sure to hook y'all up with some books. But yeah, this book is radically going to change and transform not only your life, but your relationships. So make sure you get it. Buy it for you. Buy it for a friend, whoever you beefing with. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what? Let's walk through this thing together. Let's read it together. We can start a whole book club. Just you and your offender. That would actually be crazy.
That would be absolutely crazy, but I love it. Let's do it.
I don't know. It could happen. Make sure y'all check Yana out. Make sure you follow her on all social media platforms and support the Shalom movement. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
What's up, you guys? It's Megan Ashley. I'm so happy that you joined me on this week of In Totality. I hope this episode was good to you, good for you. I hope God met you right where you are, as you are. Listen, do me a favor before you leave. Subscribe to this channel. And then go subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. If you listen to them in the car or at the gym or wherever you listen to them, whatever platform that is, go subscribe to the podcast on there too. Do me a favor, send this to a friend. If you felt like there was something in this conversation that really just struck a chord with you, or will strike a chord with a friend or a family member or even a coworker, send it to them. And then do me another favor. It's like a lot of favors, Megan. I know. Make sure that you join my Patreon community. Listen, the Patreon community, we're called The Village over there. I love them so much. It's such an amazing community filled with like-minded people who just want to love the Lord, want to love his people, want to grow, want to really dedicate their lives to the work that he's doing in their lives. And so this is a great opportunity for you to join. You get the podcast early. You get the In Totality docu-series, which is like the vlog that you can see my life and see kind of the things that I do when I'm not here on the podcast. We also have book clubs and Bible studies. I mean, this community is just fantastic and amazing. And it's been such an encouragement to me and so many of the others that have joined. So we would love for you to be a part of that too. Do me one last favor. Go to the comments. If something was said in this episode that blessed you, something that really encouraged you, even something that might have cut a little bit, something that might even convicted you, but it got you to a place where you wanted to be closer to the Lord, that you wanted to be more like him, where it draws you more near to him, I want you to go in the comments and tell me what that was. I would love to know. I would love to know that. It encourages me, encourages more people. And so we want to hear your thoughts. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.